7 o'clock. Thank you for being here. I call this workshop meeting on Monday, February 17th, 2025, to order at 7 o'clock p.m. Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Ms. Demi,
Here.
Ms. Houts, Mr. Panza,
Here.
Mr. Ray,
Here.
Ms. Schwartz,
Here.
Mr. Tintori, Ms. Barron,
Here.
Mayor Schenk.
Present.
Okay, so thank you for being here tonight. We are going to follow a similar order to how we did our last workshop. We will hear from Ms. Schwartz as head of the Public Facilities Committee. We will then open it up to the hearing of the citizens, where you'll have to come to the podium and say your name and your address. Once that is complete, we will go around and have every council member be able to ask questions or discuss, and then the meeting will adjourn after that. Oh, we do have Brent Boyer is on the phone. He is not presenting anything, but he is here for informational purposes as needed. All right, go ahead. Oh, Brent Boyer is the architect.
I do that.
Yeah, that's fine. All right, Ms. Schwartz.
All right, so in our last workshop meeting, we came up with some concepts that we wanted to explore regarding the main pool. And we got kind of a cost estimate of those changes that could be made. And my committee did meet mainly about that. We did not discuss the amenities because that's something council is still discussing on the main pool. And we came with a recommendation to eliminate the lounge and sun deck area and expand that area out the same feet as the rest of that section of the pool. Have steps go the whole way across that area so that the depth would stay the same. We would utilize that out as usable swim area instead of a sun deck. And then the only other recommendation was to possibly consider having a sunshade as an alternate bid. That means it would be an additional bid amount that we could add if we wanted to, once we got the bid pricing. It's not saying we would go with it. It's something we recommend at least knowing the pricing of, in addition to the amenities that council may decide. So that is where our committee landed with our recommendation. There are prices in your packets that show the cost of those items. And we can discuss the slide run out concept. There were two ideas. One was to actually have a completely separated slide with its own plunge area, which would mean it would not be connected to the pool, it would be in the middle of the grass. The cost was fairly high, and also we didn't think that really went for flow. We weren't a fan of that. And in order to do it where it is connected to the pool, it would be a much more expensive project, as well as it would mean they would have to redesign a lot of engineering that we've already paid for to be done. So it didn't seem like a reasonable change for the amount of money that we would have to spend, when we could possibly manage slide use by having it open at certain times and maybe closed off so that that area isn't impeded by the slide at high volume times. So that's something that could be looked at. So that is where we came with our recommendation. So at this point, I would like any citizens who would like to come up at this time to go ahead.
Hi, I'm Lynn Nestler, 1006 Dale Drive. Appreciate the reconsideration of some of the things that, you know, are more costly, but my biggest concern that I don't feel has been addressed just yet is the depth of the swim lanes. We talked about that a lot in the last meeting. I talked to several folks who are competitive swimmers, and a minimum depth for the turn lane for swimmers to safely swim is 5 foot. And I just think that we are putting, you know, really the community at risk because we do have a very active swim team. My children are grown, so it's not a personal thing. But I know that, Green Tree's had a swim team for decades. And, pardon me, the safety of those folks is really something that really needs to be considered. So those are my comments.
Thank you.
Ron Poplar, 57 Rose Avenue. Can you give me the estimates of the slide with the run on? You said it was gonna be expensive. How much?
It was over 200,000 without the cost of the engineering of the, redoing the filtration system, plus an additional, what was it? Which one? There's two. The one with the run out that's connected to the pool is more.
It was, he indicated that it would be closer to the additional 30 foot,
200,000.
which was approximately 155,000 plus a design cost of 60,000.
And then possible redoing of the filtration system, which is additional.
Which they were not sure what that would be until they actually got into the engineer. So those were estimates.
Okay, thank you.
Can everyone in the back of the room hear us? A little bit, kind of, okay. We can just either draw your mics closer or speak up a little bit.
Christine Short, 251 Park Edge. I've been to every single one of these meetings and council meetings. And I know that the last meeting, a lot of residents voiced their concerns about these amenities. When I look at all these amenities, which I know are not going into the pool, all these folks plus more set a slide, some things in the baby pool, the diving board, and there's blocks for the swimmers. I hope you folks listen to the residents and not add all this other stuff like umbrellas. That's gonna cost all this money. Because that's why the residents came to these meetings. If you don't listen to them, then no wonder you get bad emails, which you should. So I hope that you listen to the residents. Because as I heard it loud and clear at these meetings, they only wanted a couple things in that big poll. Thank you.
Karen Motorola, 179 Arlo Drive. I just had a couple quick questions about the umbrellas. For the first one, for the shade umbrella, what is basically the lifespan on those shade umbrellas? So for $30,000, how many years? 10 years? Okay, so is there a warranty on those umbrellas as well? So if something happens to it, what would that be?
Correct?
I can't hear the public's question very well.
So the question would be, what is the estimated life expectancy on the sunshade? And, you know, what could we reasonably expect them to last? And is there any type of a warranty for any period of its life?
Yeah, they come with the warranty. I off the top of my head, I don't have the full manufacturer warranty details with me, but typically at least a year. And then, but if you're talking about like the umbrella would have been over the lounge area, you know, the structure stays up all year round, and you take the fabric off of it over the winter. And if you do that, you get 5 to 7 to 10 years out of it. The other umbrellas, maybe 5 years or so. 5 years plus. They're all constructed like if you think of a commercial grade umbrella outside, and you take care of it, take it in over the winter, you can get quite a few seasons out.
So Brent, if I may, a follow-up question that may be more representative of an answer that our resident is looking for. So I assume that the $30,000 includes the physical structure that supports the shade. If we had to, in 5 or 6 years from now, just replace that shade part of it, not the physical structure that's holding it up, how much of the $30,000 do you think that would represent?
I'm gonna guess 5 or 6,000 because it's been quite a while since we bought just the shade. They usually come together and they last a long time. So it's really been a while. We had to have any buy just the fabric. So that's about my guess.
We could get that price, just an estimate on that would be great.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. I just hope that's something that you consider the lifespan of the umbrellas with a $30,000 structure. And if the umbrella is only $5,600 for the shade, what are we really putting money into there? And can that better be allocated for something else? I know that's an option. It's an optional structure, but it just seems a little bit of a waste there. When it could be used for something else, since we're not redoing the bathhouses. There's other things that we're not doing that could be put towards. So I think these questions hopefully are going to be asked, the warranty, the lifespan, what are we actually paying for with every single amenity that you choose to offer.
Would be 9-12 Walker Drive. I would like to know how many are on this committee actually use the pool. Okay. That doesn't go enough, other than you should have everybody on the committee that uses the pool. And,
And there were also, there were also, 2 council members that resigned. That voted for the design that,
because if I remember, they didn't put up their hands that they used. So, and I was told the smaller pool is gonna give us more room to swim. I'd like somebody to explain that to me. And another thing I would like to know is, have any of you people been up there when we do the water road? We use that whole area, the more shallow end. We use that whole area for water play. And when there's families in there with kids, that area is full. And, as far as these umbrellas are concerned, if anybody wants a lounge chair or a chair, bring your own. I'm 88 years, I carry my own. I'm in and out every time I go down. If you want an umbrella, take it. And what's wrong with the tents that they have in the shade and with the table underneath them? I don't think we need to be putting a lot of junk in that area. It's a swimming pool for kids to go, their parents to sit and sunbathe, relax and enjoy themselves. Thank you.
Christopher Allen, 252 Park Edge Road, 996 Green Tree Road, and 1000 Green Tree Road. Just a quick question about this new lounge sun deck area. Approximately how big will that be? Do we know what that's
It's
gonna?
not going to be a sun deck area anymore. It's just gonna be swimming area.
So,
Getting rid of the sun deck and making it the same depth as the rest of the pool. So it's just going.
what is the size of that? Do we know what that's
The
at?
approximate resizing.
Okay.
is Approximately, I believe you said 360 square.
Okay, and so we're removing $16,000 from that estimated cost, but we could potentially still be paying $30,000 for sunshade there. Am I reading this correctly?
No, we're just asking for that to be bid. We're not saying
But the estimate would be $30,000 if we put that on top of it.
if we put that on top. That's,
So we'd
that's
be
it.
just creating like a little shaded area.
With the rest of the pool
Okay.
open, right, correct.
All right, that was it. Thank you.
may I ask a question?
Of course.
If the committee's considering putting a shade back now that you've expanded it, you know, the numbers we've been talking about were for the old, shade. Okay, so you made that area larger now. If you go up and put a shade back, if you wanna cover that whole thing again,
No, not the whole thing, just where it was.
okay. Okay.
And it's honestly just an alternative concept at this point.
I saw someone else who wanted to speak. Do you want to come on up? Yeah, you're on.
My name is Chris Crowley. I'm 6'9" West Manila Avenue. I just wanted to address the 3 umbrellas in the grass area again. I don't understand exactly why they're there, only because if you look at the diagram, just based off memory, right now, we've already eliminated what looks like here, almost 300 square feet of grass area that would be in the sun. And we're now installing shaded, these umbrellas here that are the only area that's really in the sun that's left. I don't know if it's because if this diagram shows that we're getting rid of the gazebos that are along the far side. But, I think it'd be a great way to save $13,500 just not to include those. I mean, if people want umbrellas to sit out in the grass, they can just purchase them at Walmart, bring them with them, so.
Here, Paddock, 14 Clearview Drive, to reiterate 2 points brought up, one, definitely the space for the water aerobics, but also for anyone in there to spread out, and not have anything in the pool. I mean, as appears to be the agreement, as someone else said, listen to the constituents that are speaking, that keeping the pool free, but also to add to the depth, as well, the 5-foot section, we're into diversity, so have diversity in the depth, have different, it starts, nice and low at 2 feet 8 inches, go up to 5. Not just if safety doesn't sway you, then comfort. That is very comfortable for a lot of people as well. Thank you.
Bob call for 57 Rose Avenue again. I really thought the last meeting, when the idea came up with the slide with the runoff, would have been really good idea, because it would have gave us more square footage in the pool area, which is what the residents want. So the more I think about it, do we really want to put a slide in this pool? How many little kids even use the slide? I'll tell you what, I've been over there a lot past couple summers. And a lot of times there's nobody, the guard's sitting up there laying on a towel, because there's no kids going up on the slide. Maybe we need to look at that a little bit better, and so we can save ourselves $65,000 there. Maybe we don't need a slide, just because we have one, doesn't mean we have to put another one in. Just my thoughts, it would give you more square footage in the pool to use, but that's been a big issue with a lot of our residents. Thank you.
Theo Altman, 245 Silver Oak Drive. My daughter is competitive for the swim team, and she's 8. She's learning flip turns, and I do not feel comfortable with her learning flip turns unless it is 5 feet. So I am passionate about this, so just want to say that. Thank you.
Sometimes before, and that's one question I forgot to ask you. Can somebody explain to me why we would spend more money to have a smaller pool when we need a pool exactly like it's already there.
I think we've discussed this at length over the past several months. The pool that we currently have to redesign would cost a great deal more than what we are budgeting for, what we're comfortable with budgeting for. That size, that scope, we've discussed this several times. Also, the design of our pool that we have is not to current code or specifications. The way that it's laid out is not what works in current safety design. So we're trying to go along with what the trends and what is recommended by aquatic designers is. And that's when we came to the decision that we did with the pool designs we did. That design is what we're moving forward with.
Can Mr. Boyer chime in on that, designing our current pool would cost more than the design that we're seeing right now?
Frank, did you hear that question?
Yeah, that's my recollection, but I don't have all that data in front of me. That's going back pretty far down this process. I certainly don't mind doing that, but I don't have all that in my fingertips any longer.
Well, Mr. Boyer, I asked you at the last meeting, you said that there was a discrepancy in the data that you provided us. Be prepared to help us understand that discrepancy at this meeting, so I'm hoping that you have that data with you.
Well, sir, I was given an agenda for this meeting and what we were discussing, and I was prepared for that. I certainly was not ignoring that, but I was.
So then I assume this was your committee directed him not to bring the data. That he said that there was, he was sitting right there, he said there was a discrepancy in the data.
Mr. Ray, we are specifically discussing what we were talking about last meeting. The recommendations we asked him
I didn't say
to
it, he
give.
said.
I know, but that's what we're on.
So it's not a concern of yours that the architect told us that there was a discrepancy in the data.
My understanding from what he said was that there was a change in the square footage because we went from a beach entry to a step entry.
That's not what he said. That's not what he said.
That's what he said.
That discrepancy was cleared up a long time ago in the process as well. That was not something that carried on. That's when different changes were being made, different concepts were running through. There was one discovered and that was cleared up like the same day. But you had referenced a certain number and that was cleared up like that same day. So it was back some time ago, and it's not something that's carried through.
It's what we actually voted on. That was the discrepancy.
No, that's not the discrepancy.
It's in the minutes. It's on video too.
Do we have,
I would say that the information that was presented at the July meeting is accurate with what we have.
do we have any
That is
additional?
not true.
We are at this hearing of the citizens portion of this meeting. I will continue, I count in my head, that's what I'm doing while I'm waiting in silence, so I will wait and see if anyone else has something else to say.
For short 251 Park Edge, you know, again, I've come to all these workshops, I've come to council, and I'm appalled at the lying that is done up here. The smaller pole costs more money than the bigger pole that we went through all those C12s, X12s or whatever. It's got to stop, and it's got to stop now. You folks need to get your head together, design this pole with what amenities you're gonna put in there and call it a day. But the lying up here has to stop. Mr. Ray's trying to make a point. You guys shut him down so much, it is unbelievable. And I, as a resident, am getting ticked off at the lying up here. And the two that are newly appointed, they just followed what you guys are doing. Thank you.
Mayor Warner, again, 179 Arlo Drive. I'm not sure
what's going on. Every time I come to these meetings, it feels like I'm watching a battle happen underneath the scenes. What we're asking all of you is whatever's happening, if you could please just put that aside and listen to what we're asking you. There's an underlying agenda, an underlying hostility. If you could please leave that outside and come in here and just be our voice for why you were voted in here, that would be amazing. That would be great for you to listen to everybody who's come here continually. That's not happening. I'm not sure why, but not one person has changed their opinion and said, you know what? We've listened to this community. There's something else happening, and I'm asking you to do the right thing, and please listen to what this community is asking you. We trust in you. We've been trusting you for years, and now that's gone. We're asking you to build that trust back. Please do the right thing, please, for all of us. Thank you.
Warren Callis Forest Drive. I believe, Mr. Ray, I'm the one that asked the architect or pool designer last time about the smaller pool versus the bigger pool, so I don't think I got a clear answer to that, so I would appreciate hearing that. I was late to the whole game, because I had personal family crisis. I have a personal family crisis just occurred about an hour ago, but I'm here because I care. Okay? I'm here because I care about this issue. I totally agree with what that lady just said. You know, there's a vibe in this room that's not good, and it's just not, and it's not a good way to conduct business. So I ask you all to clear the air and listen to the people that put you in the chairs, because my understanding is you get to be our voice and not speak for us. I don't know what was said before I walked in the room, but our poll is great. Our community is great. I moved here because of that poll. That gentleman brought up whether we have a slide or not. Really, the kids aren't on it that much, so a slide, a diving board, and something little for the kids in the swimming pool. We don't need a zip line. All these things, all these thousands of dollars to give us square footage. My daughter was a lifeguard for years. She worked overtime for years. You know, they keeping it clean, keeping it neat, I mean, we're taking away gutter ball, for God's sake, it's Green Tree tradition, because we need to get ADA, right? And that's important. That's important, but there's other stuff, mushrooms, slides, people will sit under shade. We want to shade, we have trees, it's Green Tree, for God's sake. Thank you for listening.
Jess Everline, 171 Arla Drive. I just want to piggyback off of her because in my opinion, what are pools targeted towards? They're targeted towards families, mothers to take their children to. I am that person. I am the stay-at-home mother who takes my 3 children every day to that pool. You can check fast. I guarantee you my login is very up high with the rest of them, as well as elderly folk who are there. Every time I come, we're finishing up what they were doing. They're enjoying seeing all of the little kids playing in the pool. My 3 children, aged 4, 7, and 9, they don't care about the trends, the new amenities that all these other pools have. We don't live in those boroughs. We don't have that money that those boroughs have to be on trend, to have all of this fancy stuff. Our pool is perfectly fine the way that it is. It may need some updates and some things fixed and some safety stuff, but it certainly is not hundreds of thousands of dollars worth. So if you want the opinion of actually people who go to the pool, it's mothers with kids who unfortunately are busy and cannot make a lot of these meetings. I myself can't make a lot of them. I run a 99-person program in the youth through the 3 boroughs. And I coach at the high school. I don't have a lot of time to be here, but I do pay attention. I don't like what I see. I might be on the younger aspect of this, but I pay a lot of money at that concession stand. I pay a lot of money to be there with my kids. I'm there at 12 o'clock till almost 4:35 every day. That shade comes right on through. You gotta move down and move down. It gets shaded pretty quickly. We don't have to pay for shade at Green Tree Pool. We have what we want to bring. We don't need any more. So like they're saying, please just listen to the people who actually utilize the pool, because without it, you're going to lose residents. You're already losing their trust, and I really don't want to see that happen. Thank you.
Michelle Bercheski, 1165 Tranter. Sorry I was late, but I had, an issue at home and I got here, because of my passion for this pool. But my gut, when I sat down today, is listening to the aquatics people and listening to all the rhetoric and the feel of the room, feeling off of everybody. My gut is, if I went with a contractor that can't keep their story straight, my gut right now is like, I need out of this deal because I'm being shystered. And if I was at my home and somebody was trying to, and I kicked a kid out of my home that was redoing my fireplace because it was the shitty ass job I ever saw. And I refused, like, you have to stick up for what the work that you're getting done. And we have been running around and a line costs this much more. Like, my gut is wrong with this contract and this deal, just my opinion. And I'm a nurse and my gut tells me a lot, so it's a bad deal.
Second that.
I would like to understand why we went so far to get a contract.
Oh,
There's people in our own area. And people have come up here and given you ideas on how to cut the costs. And the gentleman who was up here about the solar, that all that electricity stays in Green Tree, doesn't go to Duquesne Light and then they turn around and charge you and send it back here. It stays right here. The refreshment stand and the, the heater and everything could be run off of that. And I like the pool the way it is, and then everybody likes the pool the way it is. So why? And like I said, I would like to understand why it costs more to put a smaller pool in. But what my reasoning is, they're gonna have to bring in dirt. And then here we have fresh dirt that has to settle. Just redo the pool the way it is. Bring it up to what has to be done for people getting in and out of the pool. Put in a diving board, the new walkway. If you want the slide, fine, but I agree with them. There's not a lot of people who use that slide. So, thank you.
May I ask a question? This Hines, how many people do you think use the diving board? Do you think, honestly, I'm asking, do you think there's?
There's a lot. When you take swimming lessons, you have to learn to go up.
Okay, I'm just asking the question.
Way
that-
more than-
this for a long time, you should know how many people go up that diving board.
Well, I'm I'm verifying, I'm just
Okay.
verifying.
Let's have Mr. Handy, you can ask those questions when we get to our portion,
I
because
just
we still
asked-
have community members who want to talk.
John Calter again, 57 Rose Avenue. I was here in meetings last year when this whole design started, when they narrowed it down to the two. And I voiced my opinion, thought we should have went with the bigger square footage pool. And I know council voted on it, and I know they picked the smaller square footage pool. And the reasoning I was told was because of the maintenance costs for the water and how much water's gonna go up by the water company. And we've come to you with suggestions on how to take some of that cost out of the equation. Solar panels. You're gonna save yourself all the electricity you're using up there all year round. You won't have to pay for heating that pool. I don't know where anything's wrong with the solar panels. I've even sent a company I called, and I sent information for the borough man about the borough manager. They did contact with her about it. Because the company that I have with my house, they don't do commercial. They only do residential. I find a company that does do commercial, and I'm sure there's many more out there. With a little bit of research, we can get solar panels put on their maintenance buildings and not have to pay for any electric at all. Matter of fact, you'd be getting checks from Duquesne Light 9 months out of the year because there's no electric going on over there. I just fed up with the fact that the reason we decided to go with a smaller pool, at least one of the reasons was the cost of water. We're giving you suggestions on how to cut that cost. You don't listen to us. Nobody does. You guys have blinders on, this is the direction we're going. And I'm sorry, but I'm fed up with it. I'm really getting tired of hearing stories coming across the council desk here about they said this, they said this. Look at the minutes. I was here. I know what was said. So don't tell me the reason you guys decided to do this because you want to cut costs. I'll give you suggestions on how to cut costs, and I don't see anything happening. So, you know, when time comes for us to vote on new council members, I'll remember what's been going on here. And I'm sure everyone in this room will too. And everybody we talk to, we will make sure they know. So listen to the residents. Maybe we do need to stop this whole project and just write it off as a loss. Because this design team, I've been hearing lies from them all along. And they don't have any information for it when we're looking for it on making decisions. So why the heck do we have this design team? Doesn't make sense. And I can't believe everyone up here on council doesn't understand that. I'm not on council and I understand.
Don't say everyone.
Okay? Most of you. Well, the mayor understands it too. It seems like nobody else does. They're not listening to us. So we'll remember this. Thank you.
Hey, Andrews, 54 West Vanilla Avenue. I just have one question. Now, is it impossible to redo the pool and keep it up to code and not get a whole brand new pool? Is it literally impossible just to redo the pool and fix it, whatever's wrong with it? Or is that can't happen? Yeah, it's not really possible. What's the problem though? So and everyone can chime in, because this goes back to when, it actually started before I was even on council, like years and years and years ago. That the pool is, like the ground that you're in certain areas of the pool, can't be fixed anymore. It has been patched endlessly by our wonderful, public, facilities crew. But when you're in certain areas of the pool, it's actually crumbling and falling apart. And it will not be able to be fixed anymore. You could redo it, which is what we're attempting to do, right? Or wait until a catastrophic failure happens. A catastrophic failure would be either it completely becomes unfixable and it gets filled in, right? Like that you can't do anything else with it. It's just a hole, a pit, or that someone would get hurt. And we're not there, right? We want to fix it. We want to get a new pool, but the current pool that we have has more than lived its life of a pool estimate. So the pool was originally built in the 60s. You tend to get 50 to 60 years of life in a pool. The pool has outlived its life. And because now we are certainly not 1960s anymore, right? There's different safety measures, there's different ways that things are built, that now it has to be built up to today's standards. You can't recreate what was done in the past.
Sure, I understand that part. I'm just saying, can you not just remold it the way it is
You can't do any of that and bring it up to code.
Now, there's literally the core samples that we were shown at the first workshop I think we had. They had core samples of sections of the pool where there was an inch layer of paint. And everything underneath it was gravel. Meaning that what had once been solid concrete was now just rubble.
Well, you're gonna put a new pool over top of that, so what are you saying?
No,
Oh, it's not gonna be in the same place?
well, it's shifting, that they're, if you look at this, it's moved slightly, they're gonna have to reshore that area.
But is it from this contractor, this designer that's saying this? Because if we're not trusting him because he's not giving us
The
consistent.
core samples were done. But before me, I don't know.
So we
Before
have-
they done-
was in all of 21.
So it's been 4 years since we've done both.
If you think that the gravel went back to concrete, I do not think that.
No, I'm saying, is it worse than it was before?
It could be, yes.
So we have no idea. Not
The pool didn't leak as much last year as it did the year before.
correct, that's what I'm saying, it seems odd, but. it is.
All right, thanks. Do we have anyone else who would like to speak? Yes, thank you.
My name's Stacy Roberts, it's 156 Public Drive. I just have a quick question, if you answered this, I apologize. How much money would the borough lose if we scrap this design and pick a new?
Right now, we're at $288,000.
We would lose all that if we had to start, yes. I agree with everybody, I feel like the biggest takeaways is everyone just wants more space to swim. A deeper amount for these lengths, and we love our goal, and we just need to. I really hope we can pick a design, and I would hope we could pick a contractor that could start like in the fall. And work on this pool constantly when we have nice weather.
That's what we're shooting for.
That's what we're hoping.
Thank you.
Do we have anyone else who would like to speak? Okay, so move on to the council portion. Great. Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead. So one time I didn't count to 30 in my head.
Okay, it's okay, thank you. Wasn't sure if I wanted to speak. Eldor Kaladi, 143 Sheldon Avenue, 15220. We've gone on with this process a very long time. One thing that I've suggested in the past was perhaps some sort of an estimate from someone to find out if the smaller pool does really cost more money to build than the larger pool would cost. I think some people still, although we've sort of decided on a smaller pool, are concerned that the smaller pool seems to cost more money than the larger pool. And if that is the case, it's probably a good idea to try to come up with a concrete answers as to why that would be. I know to some extent that's already been done. But another thing I want to mention, that I've heard some people sort of talk to, and that is that we are not in a position where we have unlimited funds. There was a mention made at the last meeting on council meeting on February 17th. It was not specific regarding the pool, but there was a discussion regarding the Trumbull Drive Bridge and the $6 million price tag for the Trumbull Drive Bridge. Right now, the borough is sort of working on two parallel, rather expensive capital projects, being the Trumbull Drive Bridge and the swimming pool. And so we need to keep in mind that we have those two projects going on. And so we have to try and provide adequately for both of those projects. I do know that there was some federal funding that we were counting on to help with the bridge. But there was a discussion at the last meeting, and I believe I've heard that there's a federal fund freeze going on right now. And so, from Washington DC, so I don't know what the status of that is, but if there was a federal fund freeze and we would not receive the federal funds, then that's something else that's going to impact our swimming pool decision. So I would think, as I've spoken before, that we should try and sort of keep to the essentials regarding the swimming pool and not too much of the bells and whistles. Because obviously the Trumbull Drive Bridge is something very important and necessary and has implications beyond Green Tree, being that it's over railroad tracks and a post office and so on and so forth. Thank you.
Yeah, Alman, 245 Silver Oak Drive. I just have a quick question. Do you guys have a plan if the pool does get overly crowded with smaller pools? I mean, are we shutting the adult lanes down?
We were already, the lanes are moved in the new design, so they're on the far end.
So there will be no more adult swimming?
Well, no,
During the
the
day.
lane at the very, like, now the way it's set up, we have the swimming pool, the slide dives in, and then you have the lanes in the middle. We're gonna move those to the outer edge, so you'll have that full center area now open. So you're not gonna have that blockade that you currently have where everyone kind of gets stopped when they have to get out and go around. So that's gonna be shifted over, so that would.
But there are still
alleviate that.
2 lanes being used
Correct.
for adults, like a
Right.
whole
Yeah,
big
that's
part
how
of
it's
the
laid out,
pool.
correct.
So if it does get crowded, are we ready to open up those lanes for the
I mean,
pool?
that's something that they'll have to look at the management of the pool. There's also the option if we keep the slide that there could be hours where maybe if there's not a great appetite for the slide could be shut down in that area, could be opened up too. I mean, those are all things that management would decide once the pool is in place.
So I just wanna say, I have 2 young kids that love that slide, so
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
I know that was the big reward for swim lessons was when we
Right.
got to the point where. you
And the
could
dive
slide, those two
So,
things, yeah.
but those 2,
absolutely.
I had a zip line, I think that's stupid, but that's just me. All right, thank you.
Sorry.
You do not have to apologize. It's okay.
So it's Carol, hi, okay, so Emily, you just brought up a really good point. So those lanes that we could potentially either close down the slide or possibly shut
Go
down.
to one lane, I mean,
Go to
there's a
one lane.
lot of management options that could be done to
Right.
make that easy.
Do not see the issue that we're getting now a smaller pool, that we would have to close amenities down to accommodate Green Tree and everybody in there though.
Well, at the same time, we also close the slide down a lot of times because of staffing as well.
But staffing, not. It's a good point, but then it made me trigger like, do
Right,
you
but
not
again-
see the issue?
I don't foresee that we would have that issue, but again, I don't think we've ever had that issue now.
But it's a smaller pool.
It's not that much smaller. Beta load is not that much.
So
smaller.
last meeting I was at, we discovered the pool is 600 square feet smaller than we actually thought, correct? The architect said because we're moving, that was an epiphany last meeting.
No, this
Yes.
square footage
Yes,
is the same.
he
square
said,
footage.
nope, he said last meeting, 600 square feet smaller, when this was a discussion, I sat right here. I don't remember a lot of things that I remember because it stayed in my
But
head.
with the expansion of the sunlight, we are getting some of that back. He said about 300.
Yeah, no, that's included in the overall.
That was not including because we moved,
Those included in
Yes.
the lounge.
yes.
The lounge was included in the overall square footage. of the
There
pool.
would, there would only be a slight increase in square footage because the sun shelf as it was designed,
Right.
will now be expanded towards the stairs. So, and it's no longer a lounge area, so it would be active people can stand.
Right. Okay, so, but still smaller than we thought.
Not smaller than original design, it would be slightly.
When you say original, it's not leaving.
The
What was
size of the-
approved?
Correct, which was approved, but still smaller than the full as it stands today than we originally.
It is smaller than the.
Correct,
other.
yes, thank you.
Yes.
Thank
it
you.
is.
It's
smaller than her.
Correct, okay, still there,
If
but
anybody's interested, I will do.
yes, yes, I remember this one last meeting.
However, smaller but more efficient.
I would like to.
But if we need to shut down,
I'm just saying.
Council, this is their time to talk.
Okay.
I would like for them to talk and we will have our own time.
Thank
Please let our audience talk.
I just want, because it made me think, so we would have, we're building this new pool and we have these amenities and you're laying it out. To shut down any amenity to accommodate a larger, please think about that, if we would need to do that as something that might not be the best use of the space, if we would have to close certain things down to accommodate a larger number. That's all I'm asking, because it made me think that.
And I think that was just the, like,
Yeah,
on 4th of July, we're
Correct.
not gonna have the swim lanes open.
Right.
The pool
But
is
on Fourth of
open.
July, we have the races.
Yeah, the
That's a big
races,
deal for our kids.
yeah.
So there are things that we do that we might not think every other day that are tradition for this community, the boat races. This, I know the slide sometimes, but the slide is also a rite of passage for, swim.
I didn't know.
I know, like my kids are like, I need to do this. I've gone down the slide, it's very.
My granddaughter went down last year.
So, but just, these are just extra things that when we're thinking about the pool and the design, that we might not think about outside, this is why these workshops are great, because we're talking it through, realizing, okay, if we're adding an amenity, shutting it down potentially, does that make sense? So that's where I just wanna come up here and say, hey, this did come before, workshop is great, let's talk through it, is this something we potentially could change? So thank you for bringing that up and for us to ask that question. Thank you.
I mean, you never know, should I just keep going?
Keep on coming up, go ahead, you have you first.
Loretta Blitzky, 3244 Forest Drive. As a person who uses the pool every summer, almost every day, and uses the lap lanes, the idea of that even considering shutting them down at any given time is not a good thing, or limiting the use. The lanes are used consistently. People actually wait to get in there to use the lap lanes.
And that's part of the reason we moved them to the far end, so they kind of, they're
Are
going
we
in.
allowed to respond to residents or not?
If you have a question, yes, but last time I stopped because we were Mr. Hans was getting off track.
Second thing is, I couldn't tell.
Oh, wait, I wasn't getting off. I was engaging with our citizens
That's not.
I'm really surprised you said I was getting out of track. I'm sorry, but wow, that's really surprised me. I was
We will have our.
engaging with them. Okay, all right,
Thank you.
Sorry.
sorry.
I have one other question. I could not tell from the new revised design with the amenities, if the basketball hoop was still a consideration.
The basketball, none of the amenities for the main pool have been decided by council.
Okay.
We put a pause on that so we could continue to discuss, especially when we were talking about extending the sun shop into swim area. So none of those have been decided. The basketball hoop was thought as an option because it's removable, something we could put up for maybe a pool party or whatnot and take down. And it was a minimal expense versus a lot of the other amenities. So that was why it was suggested, but that has not been decided at this moment.
Because I would like to say I would be opposed to having the basketball hoops in the pool. And having the potentially be hit on the head with a basketball from wherever. Having been, being with the footballs when I'm sitting in the, beach chair in the grass and they're throwing the footballs around. So I do have an issue with that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
From what I've heard tonight, it sounds to me that people of Green Tree just want you to redo the pool the way it is. And I think maybe some people are misunderstanding that you're just gonna patch the one that's there. You're not, you're gonna take it out because the pipe and everything needs redone underneath, is that correct?
Yes.
So wouldn't it be, you'd make a lot of people happy. But look for somebody closer to home instead of paying these big bucks for all this information that you can't get answers to, and nobody understands them anyway. So please consider redoing the pool the way it is. And like I say, if you haven't been up there to see what goes on, smaller pole is not gonna make the people happy.
Just have one quick last one. So a lot of question here is about square footage, obviously, and I think that everyone in the community needs to hear what is the actual difference in square footage from our pool currently to the pool that is being proposed? Do we have that?
I have the data right in front of me, if you'd like.
That'd be great.
No, stay on track.
Because I asked, that is on track, I asked the question. Please, permission, Joseph.
Yeah, right here, here's the problem.
It's like, it's on first, right, it's on second. For goodness sake.
Greg told us last time there was discrepancy, I have the numbers where there's discrepancy.
The community just simply wants to know.
We can.
Okay, let's hear-
absolutely
let's hear
answer
from
that
Fred.
question.
Yeah.
Yes.
What's the, what, yeah, that's all, I think that would deter a lot of things that are, I mean, because at home, I'm getting text messages, like my phone, I mean, I'm gonna have to start changing data, because so many people in the community are like, what is really going on with the square footage? Is the square footage that much different that we need to have this conversation? I mean, is it? I mean, I know it changed a little bit because of the sitting well, or whatever the heck it is that we're calling it, the sun well, or whatever.
There's only 672 square feet difference from your old to the new.
Okay.
That's not true. That's not true. That's not true based on the data that was provided. Maybe that's where the discrepancy is, but that is not true according to the minutes that we have. And the existing pool is 7,593 square feet. June 17th, we were presented a drawing that had 7,184 square feet, which is 409 square feet smaller than the existing pool. On the June 17th meeting, council here's directly from the minutes, I'm not making this up. Council continued to discuss concept C12, and what changes could be made to improve the usage for all patrons. They discussed ways that the concept could possibly be adjusted to create slightly more square footage, as the concept presented is smaller than the current pool. Mr. Boyer agreed to make some adjustments to concept C12 and present council with these provisions. That was on June 17th. The July 1st meeting, council voted on a pool that was 6,781 square feet, which is 403 square feet smaller than the design that we discussed on June 17th, which is over 800 square feet smaller than the current pool. That's the data.
What is the current design that we have in front of us? That's what I wanted to remove. Okay.
The problem with the current design that we have in front of us, this drawing is so blurry, you can't read anything in it. So what is it? What is the current design overall square footage supported?
6,921 square feet. which is
6,000.
921.
So that's smaller than our current pool.
Thank you, that's all.
That's 672. But that's, and I can't, when I heard all those numbers being read, you have to understand from our side, there were like 14 different concepts presented, and I wasn't present at that.
No, that's not true. That's not true. You were present.
No, that is true. But this
It's in the minutes.
side,
There were two, Mr. Boyer, there were two designs that we discussed on June 17th, not 14th.
C1, C12.
Right.
And this was, how much is this costing us? $200,000, right?
Should be able to.
And we have no idea what we're talking.
We wish it was 200,000.
Ms. Callis, go ahead. Thank you, Maureen Callis, Forks Drive. So again, still confused here. And what I want to understand, to be clear about, and my statement is, we're talking about moving the lane, which takes an edge of the pool. I'm an edge of the pool kind of girl. I like my laps, I like to swim, I like to tan. We're talking about a sun shelf, takes the edge of the pool. We've already obliterated gutter ball, which is a travesty in Green Tree. If you have children, you know, Nicholas will tell you. I mean, I raised both my kids to swim there. Having an edge of the pool is essential to teaching them how to swim because they need a place to go to. So any other amenity, like we can't swim underneath the slide. I know you said we're gonna close the slide, but in my experience, in all the times that I've been there over these years, the boys 26, the girls 29. We've never closed the base of the pool, the base of the slide so people could swim there. I'm just saying, just be mindful. I appreciate you. I appreciate you listening to me. But we need to be mindful to have space to live in the pool and use the pool as a pool is intended to use, and all the bells and whistles. There's a basketball hoop, like how many feet in the playground where my kids used to leave the pool, run out and go play there and come back. So we get to do that because they're children, they get to run. We're losing the edge where the ADA walk is going. Great, we need to have them all about it, but that's an edge of the pool we've lost because we won't be able to access that because it's going to need to be open. So just think of these things. Less is more, less is always more, less is more. And then maybe, just maybe, if we get rid of, floating stingrays, we can look at seeing the sun shelf is not needed. And we can use that space to have like a hole where we can be.
That's such insightful feedback. The edge of the pool is something that we haven't discussed. It's really important. Right?
It truly is.
We have lost all edges, almost all edges. in
Thank
this
you.
pool.
I mean, this little island that sticks out, Nicholas and I lived there
Yeah.
until he learned how to swim. We lived there. He would jump off the edge, so he would swim to me and swim back to the edge. We're losing our edges. And that edge right there is where you're thinking of putting a basketball hoop. And to say we're gonna put it in a net, I love you. I love the idea. I love the creativity. Think about it. Is it gonna happen? It's really not. It's gonna sit in a closet. One day we're gonna get it to come out. And is it gonna even be worth, if it's $400, is it worth the $400 when the kids can run? I would rather you see put a gate from the playground so they don't have to run around so parents can see them go. I mean, Green Tree's a safe community. I love it here. I don't wanna go anywhere. I'm not going anywhere, but we have no edges. Saying, and all of my experience, if there's not a lifeguard to work that slide, that area underneath it is never open because it's a visually safety hazard. Because somebody can't see it. Just think about it. We're losing all our edges. Less is more. Less is more. Thank you.
Sam Salzak, 1195 Green Tree Road. Just like to advocate on behalf of the slide. As a parent of 2 young children, I use it often. If they're behaving at the pool, that I will go down with them. I understand, everybody's concern. I'm only one person, but I would like to advocate for that. Thank you. Thank you.
There, Paddock again, 14 Clearview, just to reiterate what was said about the side, because I think there is power in the number of voices that we all speak for a bunch of people ourselves. That side there, is not just is great for sitting, but also for that deep end, as was said, for the parents, for kids that go off the diving board, or even the side for swimming, and they need it for a place to rest, but it's a place for everyone to sit. So it's a huge, I understand moving the lanes to think that you're opening an area, because we've discussed having larger spaces to swim. I don't necessarily know the solution to that, but losing that entire length, is detrimental. It is not good. Please reconsider that.
Nicholas Gallows, 322 Forest Drive. So I wanted to relate this back to communication just a bit within the borough to kind of tie it into the pool. I'm frustrated standing up here and listening to the interactions that go on up here because I checked the minutes and I checked the video from June to July, and there were inconsistencies with some of the information that went out there that just weren't public. Maybe something happened in private, I don't know, but if it didn't happen in public, I'm gonna be skeptical. And then when I started poking around, with the communication, there were things that were inconsistent about that as well. I had a couple meetings with Ms. Miller, who mistakenly said there was no YouTube channel here within the borough, which made me think, well, that's not true, because I see all the meetings posted there all the time. And I found out that Kim was doing them here and uploading them after the YouTube stream. And so my whole point is, when we talk about these discrepancies between square footage and any other, the amenities or whatnot that you guys discussed, the issue I have is, like, Mr. Ray asks questions, and sometimes I'm skeptical of his questions as well. Like, why is this guy asking all these questions all the time? But the more inconsistencies that exist, whether that's with communication within the borough, leading up to something as big as the pool, it just makes me think, like, why do you guys not know so much? That's all, like, because the YouTube channel's not a huge deal. You post your minutes, that's fine, but like, as we trickle and we start to magnify these bigger issues like the pool, I hear so many I don't knows, I hear so many, I don't have that information right now. I'm hearing from multiple council members that certain information isn't given until 3 hours before the meeting sometimes. Multiple ones of you have talked to me in private and said that. That's frustrating to me. So when I see you guys interact now, like, I'm not an expert on the pool, I don't know all of the figures, I haven't been to every single meeting since the pool started, but watching now and paying attention now, something as simple as we don't know about a YouTube channel is turning into, well, we don't know about the figures of the pool. And it's just frustrating, because it's like, what else do you guys not know about, and what have you guys been making decisions on before that we haven't been paying attention to? Thank you.
So I do believe we can move on to the questions, and any additional comments from our, council. We will go in, I would like to give everyone a chance to speak for, at least once. So we'll go in alphabetical order, by last name, for the first go around, ending with, I'll end, and then it'll go back to Ms. Schwartz, and we'll see where we go from there. So Miss Demi is up first.
Hi, thanks. I am a parent who uses the pool. I have a child who turns 7 on Saturday, as well as one who is 2.5. So we're really in that kind of aging out of the toddler pool and into the big pool. And I think that we would be doing a disservice to those young children to not consider one water feature in the corner near the ADA ramp and the stairs, where it would not impact a side because it's already been taken up by the ramp. I think something like the weeping water tall spray, and I'd love confirmation if that can be turned on and off. Brent, I don't know if you can hear me. Brent,
Yeah.
I can see turned on and off. The weeping water tall spray.
Yeah, they can all be turned on.
Right. Thank you, thank you. So that could be then turned off during water aerobics, during adult swim, things like that. When I see my children interact at spray parks, when I see them at other pools, and not just my children, my older one actually does not love to get his hair wet still. But all of these kids I see really loving and gravitating towards those water features. I think that would actually encourage smaller children to kind of stay in one area as opposed to chucking balls, which is what I see them resort to now when I'm at the pool, across the whole pool. I think that would encourage some more kids staying there so that the rest of the pool can be utilized in that way. When I visit other pools, when I go other places, I don't think that we need all of these amenities. I think that again cuts into the space. But I think that for young children, young families, I think to consider one water feature would make a lot of sense in this design. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. House.
Okay, so I too am a pool user. My family's had pool passes for many, many years. I have a child who's 12, who loves the diving board, who loves the slide. I am certainly in favor of the slide. And to also copy what Ms. Demi said, I would also agree that at least just one water feature. I agree, we do not need all of these bells and whistles. I have heard you, that is not wanted. One thing I do want to call out, and perhaps it's not feasible to have your children here or to have children of the community here. But you all say, you speak for the community. There are a lot of children in this community. We see a lot of children at the pool. I see children in other pools where they do enjoy these little features. I would have loved to hear from some kids, either swim team kids, little kids. And if any of you have kids.
You weren't here yet.
Okay, so I have missed that. One thing I do want to say is Mr. Ray's not wrong about the discrepancies. I would like to voice my support in that. I am a little bit disappointed in the architects today, because while there may have been an agenda, as someone who was in this process for the whole thing and not having that data in front of you to answer questions, especially for how contentious the last workshop meeting was, and when these same questions came up, to not have that data ready to go when you knew we were having another one of these workshops, I am disappointed in that. So I would just want to make that public. So yes, I am also in favor of the water today. And I would also like to encourage the community, when you do come up to make comments, to avoid any disparaging remarks, any anti-Semitic comments, and to really watch your language and to be respectful of people in the whole community.
Next we have Mr. Panza.
Wow, that was quick. Okay. I'm surprised. I'm already, okay. So let's start from the very beginning, okay? I was elected on council to listen to my constituents, listen to everyone that's involved. So we started this process where we were told this swimming pool is. We cannot sustain our swimming pool. We have to get a new one. Ironically, I will point out, we were told by the same people that's designing our new one that the old one was bad. I mean, so, that's something to keep in mind. But we did see samples and it looked really bad. So we went on to design a swimming pool. I want to assure the public one thing. We did not get together in a private room and say, look, let's come up with something that everyone will not like and be upset with. Okay, we did not try to do that. But I will tell you, going back through this whole process, number one was Mr. Ray is absolutely correct. In June the 1st, we were presented with a swimming pool design of 7,140 feet. And at that time, as I said, we were listening to what you had to say. We want a pool the same size. So we made the suggestions that we move the wall out, we adjust the diving board. So at that time, in your mind, when it's 7,100 and we're trying to get another 400 by moving the wall and making some changes, we're going to be really close. Well, on June 17th was when we asked for the changes to make it bigger. Come July, and I'll be the first one to admit, I did not, I get the new papers Monday afternoon and the meeting 7 o'clock. I missed, and I'm saying this in public, I missed the fact that instead of it being closer to the 7,000 feet, it dropped. It dropped from what we saw in June to the July meeting that we voted on.
Mr. Francis, I want to say this because I want to support you in this. It's not your fault. Because that was part of 158 pages on the agenda. And the graphic was about that big and it was blurry.
It
So
was the same day as the comprehensive plan, which was.
158 pages,
178.
It was
Okay. Okay.
very deep in it, and the font was small and about that big on paper. So
Okay, well, thank you for hearing me out, because this has been a long-going thing, so you don't mind if I go on for a couple more minutes, right? Okay, so we voted on the smaller swimming pool. However, what I was trying to get at was, my understanding was, even though it was smaller, it was more efficient, where right now, our swimming pool currently, we have some spots that are like 10 foot deep that maybe are not being utilized to the full capacity. Also, Ms. Hines, with your water aerobics, that's one of the reasons why we almost favored the 4.6 foot section rather than the 5 foot section, because we were told it would be more efficient use of the area, more area could be used by having it at 4.6 than at 5. I mean, that's what we were led to believe. But I mean, I did fully believe, though, even though the square footage was smaller, we could still utilize almost the same amount of people in the swimming pool. Because we could take this swimming pool right now and take the steps out, add a no gravity, entrance, and we could create about 800 square feet of 2-inch water. So, we really can't, the square footage, it's more about efficiency than the actual square footage. Because if we create all that 2 inches of water, yes, we got the swimming pool the same size, but what are we really getting? So anyways, so then at that point, I was pretty convinced that we could make this work, And then it's all the way up to this last meeting where we thought, wow, we might have solved everything by putting the slide out into its own landing, and I know Mr. Koppler and myself, we thought that was a really good idea. So when we asked that, and when we left the very last meeting, I thought, wow, we accomplished everything. That's going to gain some square footage. It's mainly going to take away not being able to use half of the swimming pool from where the slide lands. But then, to my disappointment, it came back that taking the slide out was sticking it into some plastic little tube about 2 foot by 10 foot long at a cost of $100,000, very expensive piece of plastic. But I mean, it's not like we're trying to make bad swimming pools. I mean, this is what, we came to this design to try to make everyone happy. But I have to tell you, I cannot stay with the swimming pool if we don't do something with the slide that empties into the swimming pool in its own lane. So, and we do not have an exact figure on that, and I would like to ask that we get the exact figure to put the slide in its own landing area that is part of the swimming pool. And that's where I would be at, because the way it is now, I think the slide has to be offset. And I will tell you, there have been inconsistencies. I mean, just tonight, what do you think in the awning will last? It was said it was 5 to 6 years.
Not the structure.
That's the awning. We personally,
It was 5 to 10 years.
no, 5 to 6 years. 5 to
He
6.
said 5 to 10.
You said 5 to 10.
I heard 5 to 7.
He said 5 to 7.
Yeah, I heard 5 to 7.
Still on.
He said it could be, he said it depends on.
Okay. Anyways, to get to my point, we service awnings. We put the awning up in April. We take the awning down in October. We clean the awning, we spray with a silicone sealant. We have awnings lasting 27, 30 years without a problem. Now, what happens is, I don't think, like, it's hard to be a professional in everything, but that's inconsistency. So it's not gonna be 5 to 7 to 10 years. If we do get that awning, I guarantee you we'll make it last for 27 to 30 years. But I really would like to see the slide in its own landing. And if we would know exactly what size it would have to be, because there's been discrepancies where the slide coming into our current swimming pool, we're told, oh, it only takes a little space out of the original swimming pool. But then when we say, well, let's put the slide out of the swimming pool, oh no, you need a big space to have the slide empty into. So what is it a little space? Is it a big space? I would like to know the exact price to put the slide out, because we've already saved about $200,000. There's not gonna be no floatable sharks, but we have saved that money that we could put it into this slide, because bottom line, if we're gonna do this, let's do it right. And even 200,000 in the scope of a $5 million project, it's worth the 200,000 to do it right. $4 million project, sorry, 4 million. It will be 5 by the time it's done. But I mean, come on, so let's all work together. I mean, we're all Green Tree community. We're all in this together. So let's try to work and balance this out so that we can make everyone happy and get a swimming pool. That's what I have.
Thank you, Mr. Wright.
We have a very patient mayor. I'm gonna temporarily yield my time to the mayor. I think he's
next.
well, I'm gonna let him go. I think he should have gone first. So, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Couple of things here. Let's get the numbers all in one place. The current pool is 7,593 square feet. 7,593 square feet, almost 7,600. Before tonight, design that was voted on back in July was 6,781 square feet. 6,781 square feet. The arithmetic, the difference between the current and what was voted on in July was 812 square feet. So the pool was 812 square feet less. before tonight. Now come tonight, we've been informed, it didn't change. The current poll is still 7,593. That didn't change. I don't think anyone's gonna argue with that. But tonight, because of that, taking out the lounge area, which was included before in the square footage, but they're adding a little bit, it's now 6,921. So the new design they're voting on tonight is 6,000, not voting on, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I misspoke. Okay, I'll probably misspeak again, but anyway, 6,921 is the new. So you take the current poll minus that new design, 6,921, the difference is pointed out by the architect is 672 square feet. So the poll is currently designed that we're not voting on tonight is 672 square foot less. That's the first thing. Second thing is in regard to amenities. Sorry, I was out of the country actually, last meeting, but I did read the minutes. I did listen today. So there's been 8 points made about the amenities. 1, what is the lifespan of the amenities? 2, what's the maintenance requirements of the amenities? 3, what are the costs of the amenities? 4, what's the safety of the general pool users when the amenities are being used, like the basketball? What's the safety? That was brought up. The amenities were limit pool use for general usage. That was brought up when you're using the slide. You can't use the general usage. Next point was only so many amenities can fit in a small pool. That point was brought up. And amenities was brought up last time. Amenities may distract attention of lifeguards from other areas of the pool. So taking all those into consideration, my hope was that actually council would, they might still listen to everybody, but make that decision tonight that we're not going to have any amenities, but very, very few. I don't see why we're pushing that down the road. We know what the people want. We've heard what the people want. They've made those points. Let's go with it. It's not keep people in suspense. I don't believe leaving people in suspense. Next point, depth of swim lanes. I've always been for 5 foot into swim lanes. I know there's a standard out there. There's some kind of standard that says the minimum is 4 feet. And that's what council was relying on. However, being an attorney, doing products liability, people try to cite standards. When a product goes wrong, they say that's the standard. The OSHA standards this, the National Organization standard this. That does not help you. The standards don't protect you. You got to use your common sense. You can't even put the standards as defense. 5 foot, I've been for 5 foot all along. I think that that ship has sailed though, because you just can't change to 5 foot without doing the whole redesign because of slopes and things. But you can look at the minutes. I've always been for 5 foot from the very beginning. The next thing I want to bring up is umbrellas, that umbrella area. I know that's an alternative, just going out for bid. But my thought is, as indicated by several people, bring your own umbrella. I wouldn't even put that as an alternative. Let's just put that one to bed also. Next couple, let's see. The next one was, during the process here, I wrote 2 emails asking numerous questions, a number of questions about different areas, never got answers to. So I took it upon myself to go straight to the architect. That's a no-no. You're supposed to go through channels, but if council doesn't answer me, I'm going to do a no-no. I'm going to go straight to the architect. Do you think I got an answer from the architects? No. So the question becomes, is that on the architect or did someone put the kibosh on them? I still don't have an answer to that question. But the one question I still would like to know is how many people can be in the pool, not sitting in the pool, not user load, in the pool, actually in the pool, subtracting the swim lanes, subtracting the slide area, subtracting the limited use area. After you subtract that from our 6,900, subtract the limited use, how many people actually can be in the pool and have an enjoyable experience. I think that's the important, not sitting on the side, not sunbathing, not doing whatever, in the pool at the same time with the size of the pool we have. I've never had an answer to that question, so I'm disappointed on that. So, probably have some more, but those were the points, that in the slide, I guess people would like the slide, but as somebody pointed out, maybe we're gonna have to close it to get more square foot. I think it's 250 square foot's restricted when you use the slide. I have that in my notes, but I could be wrong. So we would get another 250 foot if we close the slide. That would be helpful if the pool got crowded, but maybe that's a shame that we would have to do so, as somebody pointed out, if we had a different pool. But anyhow, we're well on our way, $288,000 on this pool. So I think, possibly we're gonna have to make the most of what we have. So hopefully we have a limited amount of amenities, and hopefully it all works out. And thank you for everybody's input. Thank you.
Mr. Ray.
Yeah, I was wondering if, Mr. Boyer can answer that question. It's really interesting to know. He's been asking that question since June 2024.
What's the question?
The question of how many people can be in the pool, physical people.
Not user load. Have an enjoyable pool experience in the pool. Let's not talk about user loads, let's talk about the way our pool is used. In Green Tree Borough, how many people can be in the pool? Have an enjoyable experience.
I heard what the mayor was saying. We have an overall user load for the pool. We did not do a breakout what he was saying, like if you deduct the whole competition area, if you deduct this area and that area, we don't have that. We have just the overall, which was.
Mr. Boyer, I asked countless times. We had this room full. I put it on Facebook. I did my own analysis. I took out the swim lanes, the diving area, the lounge area, the ADA ramp. And I asked this council, the Public Properties Committee, I asked you, the mayor asked you countless times, how many people can be in that pool and have an enjoyable experience? As expert pool designers, I would hope that you would have that answer.
Any official question we're ever sent, we answer,
That's
we have
awesome.
answered. It's a very subjective question to say how much space does an individual need for an enjoyable experience overall. What is the for that existing pool?
Okay, well, I'm gonna move on. You guys don't have the data. It's become clear that this is a consistent issue with you. That we ask for data and you don't have it prepared. It's very
Well,
disappointing.
Mr. Gray, I interrupt you. The user load one is 516.
I don't want user load. I don't want user load. If you put 516 people in that pool, as the mayor said countless times, it's gonna be shorter to shorter. Okay, I don't want user load.
And I remember us answering a question about this too, where it's the way the formulas work and so on, it's deck spaces included and et cetera. That's the overall area.
So deck space is included in the user load. So how
What
many
you're-
people can
what
be in
you're
that
asking
pool?
for is really just individual's opinion of.
I'm asking the expert's opinion. They were paying $300,000. I would hope that you would have an expert opinion on this. Subjective or not.
You want us to just make something up to suit your narrative. I don't
have a narrative. I don't have a
I
narrative.
don't know exactly what the area you're talking.
I'm talking about the usable space in the pool. Where the water is. It's not a narrative.
Minus competition area, minus the which area, minus the to one person that may be the whole pool, to another person that may be 30 feet is.
Mr. Boyer, have you ever been to our pool during the day while it's being used?
Yes, sir, I have.
During a busy day, during a typical summer day,
So I've been there on different, numerous days.
with people in the pool?
Yes.
Okay. Our current pool, in my opinion, is the perfect design. It's the perfect design because it allows for patrons of all ages, swimming abilities, interests, to be able to use that pool. We have an opportunity.
The concept very similar to your original pool.
Okay,
It's Mr. Ray's turn
I'm
to
done,
speak, so.
I'm done.
Go ahead, Mr.
Yeah, I've
Ray.
asked you countless times, yeah, I'm done with you guys. We have the perfect pool. We have the perfect pool in terms of, like I said, patrons being able to use the 5-foot club. That wasn't mentioned tonight. This current design, that 5-foot club goes bye-bye. We have the opportunity now to make an even more perfect design. And I think we've squandered that opportunity because in June, in July, in August, and September, we didn't listen to the community. Now, we're stuck. Now we're gonna listen to 30 people in the room on amenities, hundreds of thousands of dollars. We had this room jam-packed, we had the news here, we had 425 people sign a petition saying, stop and listen. And we didn't stop and listen, we continued. And now we're in a situation, I imagine, well, there's 2 people that have resigned from council who made the decision. Some people, the majority of the people at the time never used the pool. People that voted on that design, I never saw them once at that pool. Some people on council now, I rarely see them at the pool. Now we're stuck. I have 2 kids. They're 12 and 7. We're a family that goes to the pool. None of that matters. Doesn't matter what I want. What matters is what they want. I didn't want a baby pool, if you recall. I didn't want a baby pool. I sat up here and I said, I don't think we need the baby pool because at the time we were talking about a 0 entry. And guess what? The community said to me, nope, we need the baby pool. We have code browns, we have all this other stuff. We need the baby pool. And I came back and I said, I listened to the community and we should have a baby. Your opinion doesn't matter. Their opinion matters. That's what this council sometimes doesn't understand. We had the opportunity this summer to hit the pause button, come back and do a redesign. Now, what we're doing is a complete debacle. We're trying to patch together the next perfect design on a massively faulty design. This issue about the edge of the pool is a safety concern. This is such a significant issue that the pool designer never brought to the experts never really discussed it. Unless it was discussed in committee, it was never discussed in public. So in addition to that competition swim lane, where we lose that complete edge, we lose the edge where this diving board is, we lose most of the edge where the ADA ramp is, we lose the edge where we have the steps, we lose the edge where we have the pool, or the slide. There's little edge. There's nothing to hang on. There's nowhere to sit around the pool. And as a pool user, everybody loves to sit around the pool. That's where people hang out, whether they're sitting on the edge or hanging or standing right at the edge. We lose all of that. We lose the perfect design. The current design allows for, somebody mentioned the 10-foot. That is not underutilized. That is utilized by the preteens and teenagers. That's where they hang out.
We still have them.
I know, it's the perfect, where we do?
Yeah, where the diving board is.
Okay, well, this drawing is so horrible, Emily, no, it's not funny because you're the head of this committee and you gave us this, I can't read anything on this. I don't know if you guys have the same thing. I can't read anything in there.
We can't swim under the diving board.
No, that's not usable space. Usable space.
Yeah, where's the 11-foot? We had the 2 competition the 2 competition lanes
going up and down the right slide. Where's the deep end?
Where the diving board is.
That's where the diving board is.
That whole area.
Right, so people are gonna be diving in to,
Like.
and then the other two are the lanes.
It's the same width that we currently have with our pool now. The same, that competition lane area, the diving board, it's exactly the same as how we currently have our well in the pool we have this is the one. Except the diving board is on the opposite side. It's exactly the same.
Okay, well, again,
So that's always been the same. It's just flipped.
Right.
the drawing sucks, okay, I can't understand it, so, yeah, okay, maybe we do that, so. So the 5 foot club, do we still have that?
No.
Okay, the 5 foot club is gone, 4.5 feet. Yeah, the 5 foot club's here, and that area is always full with adults. Ms. Miller said at one of the meetings when I asked about the 5 foot club, well, they're just gonna, the kids are just gonna have to, the kids in the 5 foot club are just gonna have to interact and get along. Right? It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. You did say it's in the minutes, it's in the video. I'm sorry,
I didn't say, no one's saying.
here whisper.
Yeah.
So we're stuck now, right? This pool is gonna be around for another 60 years. And I think, I agree with Mr. Panza, I think you know that this is what I think, because I've been saying it since June and July and August, September. Let's hit the pause button, let's go with another designer, and let's get a pool that these people want, deserve. They come up, I'll be honest with you, I give you credit for being here tonight. I didn't think anybody was gonna be here. So I give you credit coming, and I really appreciate you coming to the podium and continuing to voice your concerns. Hopefully we listen. So going back to this, this design, and just to set the record straight, Mr. Romanovich at the time said that we were going with a smaller pool because of reduced operational costs. And I asked for an analysis on operational costs, and I never received that. We currently budget $30,000 for operational costs on a pool that's 60 years old. If we went with a bigger pool, I would imagine that the operational costs, because I believe Mr. Boyer actually agreed with me, that the operational costs would even be lower because of the efficient design, the efficient heater, the efficient pumps. The flip turns, I'm told by the swim team that Crafton Pool has a shallow end, and the kids are always scraping their knees as they do flip turns. That's just awful, and here we go with a design that's gonna be like Crafton, and these poor kids are gonna have scraped knees on swim turns, flip turns. The shade, I agree, I don't think we need any amenities, we don't need a shade, we have trees that create shade. And you do have to move throughout the day if you want to be in the sun, because the trees create shade. This massive shade, if we were to go with it, throughout the day, that's not just going to cover one section. It's not like the sun is over that shade the entire day. It's gonna elongate. I would love to know where that shade goes throughout the day. And then the big thing, the bridge, right? Ms. Miller said, last meeting, we were talking in hypotheticals, even though the government threatened to freeze funding the week before, so I'm not sure if it's hypothetical. We're also told at the time the construction costs from 2022 to 2026 would not increase, which I'm not sure what world we're living in to believe that. But when I asked worst case scenario, she said that we would have to go borrow more money to build a pool. I think, and I thought at the time when we reallocated the money from the bond, this was in July, because I was at the beach and I called in. We reallocated the bond funds from the bridge to the pool, and I said, what happens if that money goes away? They said, oh, it's not gonna go away, don't worry about it, babe. Okay, well, what happens if it does? We're gonna have to go out, we're gonna have to borrow money. Why don't we wait until we know how much this bridge is going to cost us? So we don't have to raise taxes to build a pool. It's just a common sense decision. Just wait until we have confirmation how much the bridge will cost and how much funding we have to pay for the bridge. Because that's a non-negotiable. I'm not raising taxes to build a pool. Won't do it. I love the pool. I would rather not build a pool than have to raise taxes. It's not fair to the community. So why not wait? Take our time and design a pool that the community loves
for the next 60 years, and it's gonna be the next perfect design. Because what we have right here is a complete travesty. It's a debacle. The process was mismanaged, in my opinion, by people. I won't point fingers. I think the entire process was mismanaged. We had the opportunity this summer to hit the pause button and listen to the community before we spent $200,000. And so here we are. So I'm with Mr. Panza. I think that we should wait. I think we should wait for the bridge and then we, count our losses, unfortunately, and go with the new design. That's all I have.
Yeah, really quickly before you move on, it's like,
Yeah.
that's correct, you need the edge around the pool, you have an edge around the entire pool, much is broader than you had before.
Mr. Boyer, I don't think you understand how we use the pool. When we say an edge, it's where people are sitting at the edge of the pool. You cannot sit at the edge of the pool and also be in the pool at the same time in the swimming lanes. Can't do it. You can't do it on the ADA ramp. You can't do it on the steps. Okay, you can't do it. We're losing edge.
I'm up and then we'll, have the closing remarks from Ms. Schwartz. Can I, because I don't have much to say, because everyone has said what I would like to say. I do agree, I have no interest in raising taxes, especially for pool. And we certainly are in unprecedented times of, with the ability of what could be taken away from grant money, though previous and anything leading up to now, including current, shows that there isn't going to be, that prompt is unlikely to happen. But yeah, I definitely don't want to raise taxes, and when I was overseeing this project and inherited it from previous past, because it started before I came on council, I always thought that I wanted to give as many people as possible what we wanted, but that it was truly maybe the greatest compromise that all of us would have to do. It is very hard to give everyone everything they want. This is a pool for all, including the people who don't use the pool, but pay for it. So all of that has been how I come at decisions. Definitely don't want to raise taxes for it ever at any point in time. And so it is a tough decision. Every decision is tough. I think that there are pluses and minuses to every amenity, every decision about where something is. There were pluses and minuses from zero entry to steps. When we started this process, I thought for sure, I was like, oh, this is probably gonna be a zero entry pool, like most pools are these days. That's what I see. And then when we got into it, it was like, that actually doesn't have to be true. It isn't a lot of usable space, and we use our pool for many different things, not just having kids be in it, but certainly children are in the pool. So I see why there could be a need for a very small, water feature in the pool. I see, I also have 2 children, but my children are just 2 of the children who are in the community. I personally do not like water slides because of a very traumatic experience at Sandcastle when I was little. But it is something that kids do like. It is something that it is a reward when they do their swim lessons. I do think that any new type of pool will bring new challenges to pool management and learning how to use it and how we have to think about the pool. People bring up balls a lot. Balls were something that was not allowed in the pool. And then I believe like in 2020, they started to appear at the pool. And the types of balls that are in the pool. I mean, there's gonna be lots of different challenges for our pool management and the lifeguards. But ultimately, I just want to make sure that we are building a pool that gets everyone as close to what they want, as possible. And understanding that I cannot give everything that everyone wants to everybody. And that's that's hard. I don't like it. I want to give everybody everything that they want all of the time. And yeah, it's tough. Lots of questions that have come up along the way. Certainly lots of feelings about it along the way. But yeah, that's where we stand tonight. I'm glad we've got a lot more to think about.
May I ask, just a question based on
Sure.
something you said? You said that, that when you took everything into consideration, it was for everybody, including people that don't use the pool, to pay taxes. So then why did we go with a design that was more expensive?
I am looking, for me, can only talk about
That's
me,
what-
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
For me, it was about the, what we were going to get with the pool long-term, and about what the long-term cost of maintaining the pool was. It was also about, we have lots of people who don't use the pool because we don't have amenities. They pay to go to other communities because they do have amenities. And so it was factoring all of these things. That was me, that were things that I thought of when I.
Okay, so just because maybe I missed it, you said that, that you took into consideration the long-term operational costs, is that right?
As much as I could, yes.
Do we have data on that?
I don't know, I do not remember all of the things that was particularly discussed.
That,
There were many discussions.
that I can tell you that unless it exists and it wasn't shared with me, I asked many times for that data.
If I had had it, I would have shared it with you. Yeah.
But we said we were making decisions. You just said you made a decision based on the long-term operational.
I
costs.
was thinking about long-term operational costs, even in terms of how many lifeguards there were, Mr. Ray. There were many things that I personally discussed. You discussed why you voted. I'm discussing how I made decisions. And will not be answering any more of your questions about my voting.
No, I'm not asking about your vote. I'm asking about the data that was available that helped you make your vote. I'm not questioning your vote. But you said that we know
For
that
me,
people.
go ahead.
that
For
you said-
me, part of it was just how many people we were going to need to operate the pool. That was a big discussion. That was data that I presented. And that was a big part of my decision. Yes,
Labor costs,
that is part of long-term costs.
So it was primarily labor costs.
That
We
was
didn't-
definitely in my decision, yes.
But we didn't have data on projected operational costs.
I did,
Just another thing though.
yeah, I don't think we did, yes.
If we have data that we know that people are leaving, that don't go to Green Tree Pool because they're paying for amenities at other pools. Do we have data on that? If we did a survey that asked pool patrons on what they wanted or if they're leaving, do you have hard data? Yeah, maybe I missed it, or is this just anecdotal?
This is conversations I have had with multiple people in the community, just like everyone else here does,
Okay.
yeah.
Yep. I just want to make sure, I'm not questioning your vote.
I'm
I
explaining
just
it.
want to make sure that there wasn't data that I missed.
I would have given you the data. I gave a whole presentation on all of the data that we had,
Okay.
every bit of it.
Got
And then Ms. Schwartz is funding?
All right,
Wait,
so,
something real fast.
Oh, yeah, sorry, you
Hi.
did her.
I just wanted to clarify something. I apologize. My beautiful, perfect children share their beautiful, perfect terms with me and my brain's a little mushy. What I wanted to talk about, and really the major crux of my, decision to talk about adding a water amenity was in conversation with peers who are young families who have children who are in my child's class. I had conversations, with children who are a little bit younger, who all really want to see something. They don't need everything. So I apologize. We're working on building trust and listening. So it's my fault that I didn't share that I was having those conversations. This was not just a me decision. So I apologize for that.
So why aren't we hearing from those people here?
The ones that I talked to, one family was out of town, one family was at a board meeting tonight, one of the moms. I mean, younger families, as you know, it's a struggle to find childcare sometimes to come out to this.
I haven't received one email from somebody arguing that point. I've received,
I'd be happy to share.
I would love that, because,
Look at it.
you know, somebody said the small vocal minority. What is
conversations with our friends telling us what they want compared to everybody coming to these meetings. 400 people, 100 people filling the room was the small vocal minority. I just don't understand. Again, I'm not questioning why you're making the decisions you're making. I'm just trying to understand the basis for those decisions and how we're saying that. Well,
I do want to make a point that we've never had 400 people in this room to discuss
we
this
had
goal.
400.
No one was in the room. I'm
Yeah.
being very clear.
We had 425 people sign a petition.
Can I see the petition?
Yeah, absolutely.
Did we vet everyone? Are they all voters
We
like
have,
Green Tree Borough?
we have addresses. We can, yeah, certainly do that.
Ms. Schwartz.
All right, so I am a mother of a pool employee, a mother of a swim team member, and I have brought my children to that pool since they were babies. So I do know the pool, but I also know that as my children get older, their use of the pool, I can tell you the 16-year-olds don't go there nearly as much once they work there. That's kind of like they work and then they leave. And once they get to around 12 and they're on swim team at night is enough. They don't want to be there during the day. So I'm not there as much during the day, but I am, my daughter's there, I know all of that. When I came on to council, this was a project that was coming up. I was excited to get into it. And we went through a lot of designs. I have the background that I'm the daughter of a contractor. I know a lot of architects. I have sat through building a facility as an employee, working with architects, talking to us about what we like, what we don't, how to design a facility for our organization to meet its best needs. So I understand where we were with this process and what we were trying to do. I also know there is no one perfect design. It's just not possible. There is not one design we're going to do, no matter what we pick, that is going to make every single resident in Green Tree happy. And I understand that. And there are strong feelings because we've all spent many a day and many a family memory at that pool. Our goal was to pick a design that fit as many needs and was safe and provided safety for all of our residents to come, specifically with ADA compliance, making sure that we were meeting the safety standards so that our design didn't present risks for drowning or anything, had sight lines for our lifeguards so they could see everything going on, because most important for our safety, right? That's the most important part. Safety is first. So yes, my favorite pool design did not get picked. I will be honest, it was not the very large pool. It was the most expensive pool that we had, and it wasn't reasonable, and it was not gonna work. And the residents came to the meetings and they told us that. So now here we are. We are 6 months into design. And yeah, and we are trying to figure out how to get to the next stage. As a committee, we met, we talked about the slides. We really loved the idea of the slide layout. We thought that, I agree with Ron, we thought that was the solution. What we found out is that to do that would involve a lot more engineering and redesign, which is costly. And while it would be nice, is that the best use of taxpayer money? I guess that's also part of this question, right? So that was one of the things that as a committee we talked about, because we did not like the idea, and I don't think many people would, of a slide sitting in the middle of the grass with its own little area, completely separate from the pool. The rite of passage has always been, you get to your swim lessons and you can go down the slide because you have to be able to swim to get down. If it's just a slide in the grass, anybody can use it. The depth of the water isn't that big. It's like being at a water park. And that was an expensive option as well. So it didn't seem worthwhile to take away the experience part of sliding into the pool, just to have a slide that's outside of the pool. So that's where I completely understand not putting a lot of bells and whistles in this pool. I agree with that. I think when we last met, we had narrowed it down to kind of the bare minimum of the diving board, the slide, the swim team amenities. We did talk about umbrellas. We're gonna have to get umbrellas for the tables and things outside anyways. So we were looking into that. The sunshade was an option only because I want to see what it would cost. These are estimates. We don't know the actual expense until we put it out to bid and get those costs. So I would like to see what it is, because we did have a resident come and talk about the fact that she's going through skin cancer. And then having a shaded area in the pool would be beneficial to some people who might not want to be fully exposed to the sun. It's something that we're looking at as an option, not a definite. That's what an alternate bid means. I think that's something people need to understand. This is an extra dollar amount for us to look at when someone bids it out. Should we want to add it? Doesn't mean it's going in. I'm not a big fan of the water features. I understand their point. I have older kids, so my kids aren't attracted to those things anymore. I don't have that perspective, but I appreciate yours. This pool is a legacy gift to this community. We all know this, right? It is the summer hub. But it is also a hub that is used for a limited part of the year. And the rest of the community is used, all of our parks are used all year round. So when we think about this, we have to think about the fact that we're also doing something that's only used, 3 months out of the summer. And we want to make sure that we are picking something that will be used and cherished by the community, but also not become a burden to the community. And that's part of the reason we didn't want to lose all of our grass area with the beach entry. We didn't want to have 600 square feet of water up to your ankles and no grass. A lot of people would be really sad. Besides the ledge, there are a lot of people who sit on chairs, read books in the lawn, etc. And we want that. We want the water aerobics to have as much surface area to use when they come in. We want the swim team to have it. I will say my son is on the swim team. He's almost 5 foot. He is learning flip turns. He also went to swim school. And at swim school, they teach flip turns in less than 5 foot. And that is a swim school that you pay money to. So it is not unusual in practice. It does happen. And Crafton and Scott both have 4.5 feet. So that is the norm that you're seeing in most pool designs that are coming out now. It's just changing, and change is hard. It takes a while, but that is where we are. I know this isn't everyone's favorite pool design, but I do hear from people, David, maybe they don't come to the meetings, but there are people out there who say, you know, I don't think the pool design is terrible. I think it's fine. As long as we're getting a new pool and we can use it. That's the most important thing. But I do agree with you on one thing. I do not think we should ever raise taxes to put a pool in. And again, with the uncertainty of the bridge project, I understand. This is where I'm at. The money we put into this design is a sunk cost. We spent it. So it makes sense to finish the design and have it. If by chance something were to happen to funding for the bridge and we had to pause on the pool project, we would still have these designs. It doesn't mean we can put it out to bid and not award a contract. We still don't know what's going to happen when we put it out to bid, if we're going to find a contractor that's going to be within budget. These are all things that have not happened yet. They're all hypotheticals until they happen. What is real is the design process that we're currently undergoing. So to finish this design process and at least have the drawings so that if everything goes according to plan, we can move forward, that's great. If there is a change, we at least have a design in our back pocket. We've already paid for it. It would be a waste to not have it completed, in my opinion.
How much more do we have to pay the consultant for the design?
Finish it?
I can't give you the definitive number. It was, I think it was at 292, not to exceed 360, and some of that was based on the construction costs.
And that's
So
360 is what
we've already paid 288. I don't know what other invoices might be pending at this point.
And what we are looking at right now would be what we will be talking about and voting on at the next meeting would be the final decisions for them to complete the drawings. Correct?
Yes, so
Yes.
I don't know how much more over the 288 is already incurred.
Does Gannett Plumbing design bridges? Or I'm sorry, design pools?
I do not know.
There are engineering, one of our engineering firms, right?
My understanding is, that I don't know.
They do
I don't
IoT.
know that they've ever done that before. I do believe Lemon Smith does that.
Lennon Smith designs pools.
I've heard that in the last couple of months.
Is Lennon Smith taking a look at our design?
I have not asked them to review it. So.
Would council be open to having our contracted engineer firm look at our design and make sure it's a viable design, given some of the uncertainties that we've had with this current design?
I'm in favor if they have experience of doing this.
Absolutely.
Do we have any further discussion from council?
Did I make it clear that I would want a price on moving the slide in its own separate landing that's part of the swim?
Connected to the.
Yes, I want the
I did
exact
hear that, yeah.
price.
I agree.
Because realistically, if they let you finish in that little plastic tube, then the landing shouldn't have to be any bigger than that little side. I'm not sure,
I
but
would not know. Slides scare me, more than the diving board, to be honest.
And also, like, if Leonard Smith has proficiency in pool design, this whole edge idea, because our designer just told us that we have edge. I guess he just doesn't understand how the edge is used. I would like an analysis on the edge, around utilization and safety. How do our kids learn how to swim if they don't have an edge?
Go ahead, Ms.
I just have one question. So all the swim lanes in the normal day-to-day use of this proposed design, we would just have the two lap lanes.
Yes,
Correct.
on the day-to-day, yes,
In the day-to-day.
like we do now.
Only during
Okay.
swim team practice and meets with all 6 lanes. Okay, and so, and they can't be moved where they are now to accommodate the edge space because of where the diving board is. Is that true? We moved the diving board to the other side at the request of swim team because they wanted that open edge for movements.
Because it was where it was originally, it divided the lanes and it, there was not, like, the blocks wouldn't be able to be placed in that area.
So that's why it was originally elsewhere and we had it moved over. There were a lot of changes that were made during the workshops and other meetings where we were having them kind of plug things around and move them to accommodate what people were saying.
Any final questions from council?
If I can just be clear then, I am going to contact Leonard Smith to have them, I'll have a conversation with them about evaluating their current design and provide input in which then council could ask questions and then we could maybe have it back. And forth with them.
Yes, I, before they would even do that though, I'd want to know if that's something that they have any experience in doing.
My understanding is they do have some experience and I want to say it was the White Hall pool that they were involved with.
I think they did oversaw the building of it is what I thought, not the
And I
design of this building.
certainly can ask the questions
Yeah.
and then I will follow with council.
That would be great.
Shannon, I was approached by, I believe it was Baker Engineering. It is a female-owned engineering firm that approached me and said they really specialize in pool designs, and if we would ever have a problem, that they would love to. You know,
I feel like you could give their information to Ms. Miller.
I think I will.
Yeah, I don't know anything about them.
I will.
Okay, well, I am making, a decision that we are adjourning this meeting to head to, council is adjourning this session to head to an executive session to discuss legal matters, including the Green Tree Park baseball field.
So looks like we have.
I just have a quick question. When we're talking about the edge of the pool, we're talking about the gutter, correct?
Yes.
And do we know the space without the gutter for a child that would have to grab onto the edge to pull them? And I'm saying this as a lifeguard, a pool goer, I mean, I've been drinking my whole life. The children needing to get out of the pool, they would not be, just so we're clear, be able to do that without the gutter. They would have to use a ladder to do so. And if they're all trying to get to the ladder to get out of the pool, that's gonna cause an issue.
That's why that whole edge is steps down.
But I mean,
Instead
I'm
of
talking
it
about
being-
in the
yeah.
deeper areas.
They're gonna-
Deeper areas, they have to do-
There's a ledge and a handhold the entire way around.
A ledge and a handhold all the way around.
What's a hand?
space where you can put your hands,
So is it
pull yourself
and
up.
is it like a rail bar? Is it something that a child can get their arms stuck
They
in?
said it's a ledge.
It's a, like a hand holding ledge. I've seen it in other pools. It's almost like a little divot. And then you're able to pull yourself out, in addition to obviously, ladders.
But the gutters just have been such an integral part of it. I mean, gutter ball and stuff, that's fine, whatever, but pulling yourself, when I taught swimming at Green Tree pool, that was how we taught them to get out of the pool. It was either the ladder, which obviously is not always the best way to get out of the pool, because there could be 10 people, and, that was just the way to get out. But it's
Thank
a
you.
handhold works.
Thank you. So we are adjourning this meeting. Council is headed to, an executive session to discuss legal matters, including the Green Tree Park baseball field. Thank you, everyone, for coming very much.